दीपक ज्ञान प्रकाश भवन अंजोरा करि रहे, सतगुरु शब्द बिलास भाजय चोर अंजोर जब। इसके कुछ शब्द हैं जो जितना समझ में आते हैं उतना आपको भी समझाने का प्रयास करते हैं। दीपक ज्ञान प्रकाश भवन अंजोरा करि रहे। दीपक सभी को पता है, ज्ञान सभी को पता है, प्रकाश सभी को पता है, भवन भी सभी को पता है। यहाँ जो अंजोरा शब्द है उसका मतलब है उजाला, उजाला करि रहे। सतगुरु शब्द बिलास, ये सतगुरु के द्वारा दिए गए शब्द का यानी मंत्र का विलास है यानी वैभव है। भाजय चोर अंजोर जब। भाजय मतलब भागे, चोर माने जो हमारे लिए चोर क्या है, वो हमारे षड रिपु ही चोर है। अंजोर माने उजेला, यहाँ पे भी उजाला अंजोर कहा गया, अंजोर जब। तो ये तो इसका लिटरल मीनिंग हुआ। और इसका शाब्दिक अर्थ जानने के बाद अब हमें समझना है कि इसका आध्यात्मिक अर्थ क्या हुआ, इसका प्रायोगिक अर्थ क्या हुआ। देखिए, जहां भी हम गुरु के द्वारा दिए गए शब्द की चर्चा करते हैं यानी मंत्र की चर्चा करते हैं, यह मंत्र आवश्यक नहीं है कि शब्दों में हो। शब्दों में हो ये जरूरी नहीं है। मंत्र का अर्थ समझने के पश्चात इस बात का संशय का निवारण हो जाएगा। मंत्र का अर्थ है जो मन का त्राण करे यानी मन को नियंत्रित करे या मन को पकड़े। तो मंत्र के स्थान पर कोई भी अन्य विधि, कोई भी अन्य उपक्रम भी दिया जा सकता है जिसे मंत्र ही समझना चाहिए। ठीक है। तो सतगुरु ज्ञान प्रकाश भवन अंजोरा करि रहे, ऐसा कुछ कहा है उन्होंने। हाँ, दीपक ज्ञान प्रकाश भवन अंजोरा करि रहे। अब ये भवन क्या है? ऐसे भवन तो ये देह है, लेकिन इस देह में भी जो हमारा मन है, जो हमारा अंतःकरण है, वही स्थान है जहां हम रहते हैं। अधिकतर हम कहाँ पाए जाते हैं? अपने मन में। ठीक है। और ये अधिकतर कहना उचित नहीं होगा। हम अपने मन में ही रहते हैं। मन के बाहर हम कब निकलते हैं? तो हमारी दौड़ मन के ही परिधि में है, विद इन द सर्कमफेरेंस ऑफ माइंड। एंड नाउ व्हेन आई से सर्कमफेरेंस ऑफ माइंड, इसका मतलब है कि मन की कोई परिधि होनी चाहिए, मन की कोई सीमा होनी चाहिए। वैसे तो मन हमें अनंत विस्तार का दिखाई पड़ता है, क्योंकि मन में कोई भी विचार, कोई भी भाव और कोई भी आकाशीय कल्पना की जा सकती है। यहां तक कि हम अनंत की कल्पना को भी, यदि हम अनंत आकाश की कल्पना करना चाहें तो मन हमें वहां तक ले जाने में भले ही सक्षम ना हो, पर हमें मन का विस्तार होता हुआ तो जरूर समझ में आता है। तो इस प्रकार से तो मन की कोई सीमा नहीं है, लेकिन मन की सीमा एक है। मन की सीमा है कि वह परम तत्व तक नहीं पहुंच सकता। वह परम तत्व तक नहीं पहुंच सकता। मन की पहुंच परम तत्व तक नहीं है, यानी मन की पहुंच आपके अंदर चैतन्य तक नहीं है, क्योंकि मन चैतन्य से ही प्रकट हुआ है। पुरुष का प्रकाश है मन, इसलिए यह क्षमता में उसको नहीं पकड़ सकता। जैसे हम ये बताते हैं आपको हमेशा कि जो तत्व जिससे निकलता है उसके नीचे होता है, उसकी पहुंच ऊपर वाले तत्वों में नहीं होती। तो मन तो बहुत नीचे आता है हमारे, अगर हम 36 तत्वों की व्यवस्था समझें तो पुरुष के बाद फिर प्रकृति, अहंकार और बुद्धि के बाद ही मन प्रकट होता है। तो मन तो बहुत नीचे है, तो मन की पकड़ तो बुद्धि पर भी नहीं है। बुद्धि से मन पकड़ा जा सकता है, मन से बुद्धि नहीं पकड़ी जा सकती। तो इसी सिद्धांत को समझते हुए हमें समझना चाहिए कि मन का जो विस्तार है वो कितना भी हो, लेकिन वह कभी भी चैतन्य तक नहीं पहुंच सकता। तो ये उसकी सीमा है। तो जिसकी भी सीमा होती है उसको हम प्रकाशित कर सकते हैं। अनंत को नहीं प्रकाशित कर सकते हैं, लेकिन हम जो सीमा में बंधी हुई चीज है उसको प्रकाशित कर सकते हैं। और मन एक ऐसा भवन है, अंतःकरण एक ऐसा भवन है, और जब हम अंतःकरण की चर्चा कर रहे हैं तो इसका मतलब केवल मन नहीं है, इसमें बुद्धि भी है और इसमें अहंकार भी है और इसमें चित्त भी है। मन, बुद्धि, चित्त, अहंकार, हालांकि हमारे 36 तत्वों में चित्त नामक तत्व का वर्णन नहीं है, लेकिन यह प्रकृति और पुरुष के जंक्शन पर, ऐसा समझें, जहां से यह पुरुष समस्त जीवन का अनुभव करते हुए उसका साक्षी बना रहता है, वही चित्त है। ठीक है, यानी जहां पर अहंकार की भी छाया पड़ती है, अहंकार का भी चित्र महसूस होता है, जहां पर हम प्रकृति को भी समझ पाते हैं, वह चित्त है। ठीक है, तो ऐसा समझें कि जो हमारा मन है और अंतःकरण है, यह एक भवन है। इस भवन में, इस घर में प्रकाश होना चाहिए। तो प्रकाश किसका होना चाहिए? सतगुरु द्वारा दिए गए शब्द का। सतगुरु शब्द विलास, भागय चोर अंजोर जब। उदाहरण दिया है कि जैसे उजाला होता है तो चोर नहीं घुसते। घर में उजाला हो तो समझते हैं कि यहाँ कोई जाग रहा है, ठीक है, तो इसलिए वहां पर चोर नहीं प्रवेश करते। ठीक है, ये पुरानी बात हो गई, अब तो लोगों ने डकैती शुरू कर दी। तो पुरानी बात है कि चोर नहीं घुसते। लेकिन एक बात याद रखनी चाहिए कि भले ही हम ये कहें कि कोई डकैती करता है या कुछ भी करता है, उसके मन में चोर होता है, उसको भी डर होता है, इसलिए है तो वो चोर ही, थोड़ा ज्यादा ही डेयरिंग चोर है, लेकिन डर फिर भी है क्योंकि वह चोर है। चाहे वो भले ही डकैत बन गया हो, लेकिन है तो वो चोर ही। तो इस प्रकार से बहुत सारे हमारे जीवन के अनुभव होते हैं जो हमको लगता है कि ये डकैती कर रहे हैं हमारे ऊपर, है ना। जैसे कहते हैं लोग कि हम तो आचार्य जी चाहते हैं कि शांति बनी रहे, लेकिन क्या करें, परिस्थितियां ही ऐसी, तो परिस्थितियां डकैत हो जाती हैं वहां पे, उनकी डकैती शुरू हो जाती और हमारा मन उससे प्रभावित हो जाता है, हमारा अंतःकरण उस रंग में रंग जाता है। लेकिन अगर ध्यान से देखेंगे तो उस डकैत के अंदर भी चोर है, और उस चोर को भगाना कैसे है, किस प्रकार से वो भागेगा। चाहे चोर हो और चाहे डकैत हो, सब नियम से ही डरते हैं। नियम हमारे बाहर में अगर देखा जाए तो नियम, व्यवस्था, कानून, ठीक है। यहां भी एक नियम है। नियम यह है कि यदि आप अपने चैतन्य से संपर्क में रहें, अपने विधि में दृढ़ रहें, अपने अभ्यास में पकड़ बना के रखें, तो यही लॉ एंड ऑर्डर है, ठीक है ना। यही वहां का लॉ एंड ऑर्डर है। डिसऑर्डर क्या है अंतःकरण में, है ना। डिसऑर्डर क्या है कि हम कोई भी नियत अभ्यास को ना पकड़े हों, यानी हमारा कोई आधार ना हो, हम निराधार हों, हम निरालंब हों, हमारे पास कोई भी आलंब ना हो। आलंब माने सहारा। Now here it is said that the one who is keeping that lamp alit, keeping that lamp aflame. And what is that lamp? That lamp is the method, the mantra, the word given by the teacher, Satguru. Earlier also, if you remember, when it was being discussed how to tackle this excessive energy ill perceived as a karma, there also it was said how to deal with it. Now, not going in detail everywhere with each and every urge or desire, he is simply saying in one line that whenever there is any sort of suffering, a seed of suffering, you should use the practice. Simple. Rather than getting into the allegories of what is being stated in this, simple thing is that whatever is the practice with you, whatever has been instructed to you, you have to fall back. And when you are in the practice, none of these thieves which will take away your peace, your state of ananda away from you, they will not be able to rob you of your peace, rob you of your bliss, whatever, wherever you are. The peace, as I said, the cousin of bliss. So wherever you are. So peace and bliss is generally called as supreme peace, Param Shanti. So bliss is Param Shanti. Why Param? Because once you achieve that, then you can never come out of it. So initially you achieve only Shanti, but with your abhyasa, with your practice, you finally achieve supreme peace, or you can call it bliss. Okay? Which never recedes, come what may. Okay? So this inner environment, this inner space where we feel ourselves, where we perceive ourselves, is that bhavan, is that house. And in this house, your practice has to be taken as the lamp, which is radiating light. So whatever be the practice, so now you understand the practice cannot be a physical exercise. It's clear now. No amount of physicality can create a state of poise, state of stability in the inner environment. If at all anything is being done outside, if it is supporting that state, it is only auxiliary practice. It cannot be a main practice. How you keep your body, how you do things, but everything is getting reflected in your inner environment. So simply saying, he is saying that your inner environment will remain peaceful if you are rooted in your practice, especially when you see some danger, you have to immediately equip yourself, get engaged. Your self-defense is nothing but your rootedness in your practice. That's the panacea. Okay. Now, further he is now saying, Guru कृपा ते साधु कहावे, अलल पक्षी हुए लोक सिधावे, धर्मदास परखहु यह बानी, अलल pakshi gati kaho bakhani. Okay. Simply put, it is said that only through the grace of your guru you become sadhu. Sadhu means the one who is living in this world only for discharging his duty and offering service. Okay. And not leaving his or her ultimate duty of remaining seated in Antahkaran, in the inner environment, all the time, in the light of wisdom. Okay. This is the condition. Because many people will say, by that definition, we are sadhu, because we are not living our life. Especially the woman folk will come forward and say, we don't live life for ourselves, we live life for others only. Right? But the problem here is that you are not maintaining the inner calm. You are suffering. So sadhu never suffers. And it happens only when he receives a practice and he is always engaged in it. That keeps his mind literally motionless. Okay. As much as possible. Keeping your mind motionless as much as possible is the crux of every spiritual practice. Okay. Now, with this stability of mind come many capacities. These capacities are known as siddhis. Okay. Only with the stability of mind one can acquire special capacities. There are some ordinary, a little bit more than ordinary. What will you call? Extraordinary. Okay. That you anyways know how much extra is offered. 10% extra, 5% extra. Discounts wherever it is a new packing, 20% extra, 15% extra. So that extra is only some percentage. It's not that you have crossed all the limits and you become God in yourself.
Question, Acharya. Do they have any flowering duration, like which can change for, of course, different people? Do they keep changing in, that you have siddhi for some time and then you lose it and maybe you gain something else?
Yeah, it is possible. See, there are two things. In the system of self-control, if you are hooked on to the processes more than the result, then it is possible that you can hold on to a particular siddhi for longer time. You are following a particular method, and you are going step by step, and you know by doing what comes. Go to Vibhutipad, you would know that with this much length of breath, you will achieve this siddhi. With this much length of breath, you will achieve it. Even Swarvigyan talks about it. So, if you're only following a particular method, then you can keep it. But if you are not interested in the sightseeing rather than reaching home, if you're interested in sightseeing rather than reaching home, then you can be always led to very, very beautiful sights. And all the life you can wander around and never reach home. This is up to you. But those siddhis which are gained unconsciously also, so many times you will get so many siddhis. Unconsciously, you don't know how it comes, but it has come during the journey. And it may flower for some time also. And since you are more interested in reaching home, so it will leave you also. If you know where on the way you found this siddhi, and if you are still interested, you are not at ease at your home, which is not a possibility. Because when you are home, you are at ease because you are home. But now still, if you want to go back to the, a terrain where the siddhi was found, you can still come out and walk towards that. That's a downward journey. Okay. But it's not, if you have not been taught the very exact, precision methods, then it is not possible to go back to the same place, because you may bury your whole treasure on your way to home, and when you try to go back, you may yourself not find where I have buried my treasure. Exactly the same, because the terrain keeps changing a little bit here and there. So therefore, keeping the siddhis, and the final siddhi is what? Final siddhi for such people who have gone through an arduous journey, attained the control on mind, the only thing which is needed is sankalpa. You don't need any siddhi. You only need sankalpa. And sankalpa you would not want to waste on petty things, of course. You would make sankalpa only for the things where you can alleviate suffering, probably, not to show magic. Because there are bigger magicians than you. And if you get engaged in showing magic, then someday that will become the reason of your fall. Why? Because when you are showing magic and bigger magician come, you will only envy. There is no other way. There is no other reaction. And when you envy, you are back to the world. You are no more a realized person. You are no more a person who has crossed the Maya or Raga Dvesha. Envy is a Ripu. That means you have again become a sadhak, wherefrom you had actually started traveling towards your home. This is just the beginning, what Kabir is saying, that you have to keep always, you should be on guard against these thieves. And you willfully walking to your lower place of residence, willfully getting engaged in such activities, which will invite thieves. What kind of intelligent behavior is this? So therefore, siddhis are only in the domain of 5 indriyas. Okay. Whatever we experience through these 5 senses, a manipulation in this is known as siddhi. Okay. Nothing else than that. Whatever we experience through these 5 senses, a manipulation, a capacity to manipulate it is known as siddhi. Correct? But the better siddhi is giving sadbuddhi to somebody, giving jnana to somebody, giving guidance to somebody. It's not a bigger siddhi, but Guru is actually giving this siddhi to each one of his students. What siddhi he is giving? He is only guiding your intellect in a right direction. He is fixing your inner logic. He is changing your program. He is just readjusting some interrupts. He is changing the flow of a program in your, so that the kind of output you are looking for is no more required by you. He is no more desirable. This is it. Okay. Now, so he says, Guru Kripate Sadhu Kahave. So, a person, by the grace of the teacher, the grace of the master, grace of the Guru, becomes a sadhu. Why? Because without such a guidance, you would find yourself wandering in this world again, going back to the world again and again. So a real Guru, a real teacher would refrain from engaging you in the world, in the worldly things. He will always say, or she will always tell, that you should be more concerned about your inner environment. Your inner environment, your home, where you generally live. This is, if you want to call it a rented home, good. Not your natural home, because you are living here. Yeah, it is a rented home. This antahkarana, which is manifested in this body, is a rented body, right or not? For some time you have got it, then you'll have to leave it. So you have to go to your real home, where from you have descended down to this floor. Okay. Okay. And alal pakshi hue loka siddhave. Now this is alal pakshi. Alal pakshi means there is this mythological bird. Okay. This mythological bird. Like we have dragons in China. Nobody has seen them. When we talk about the soul, then we call it Hansa. And then we have a story of Hansa also. We have a legend saying that the Hansa is the one who can separate milk from the water. will drink the milk and leave the water. So this is also a mythological bird when we are referring to Hansa, right? Because you can test it in the laboratory, not today. You can mix water and water and milk and leave a Hansa, this biological Hansa which you have. So these are mythological creatures. They are not biological. So this mythological creature, Alal Pakshi, which is also known as Anal Pakshi. Sometimes it is also called Anul Pakshi. Okay. Where mostly it is called Anal or Alal. Okay. So this bird, it is said that this bird lives in sky all the time, never descends to the ground. Okay. Now he is describing what is this bird and what it is like, what all it does. And in this description of Anal bird, he is also describing many things which we should be. There are subtle things, as I said. There is a there is a direct meaning based on the words, and there is a hidden meaning based on whatever he is trying to convey. Probably in my understanding, whatever I get from it, I will try to give you. So what he says, what is Anal Pakshi? He says, Dharamdas parkha huyah bani, alal pakshi gati kaho bakhani. Now I am telling you how this Anal bird is spending his lifetime. Anal Pakshi Voh Rahe Akasha. He says that this bird lives in Akasha, space, sky, you can say. Nisidin Rahe Pavan Nabh Asa. Nisidin Rahe Pavan Nabh Asa. And through what? Through the power of the wind. Okay, through the power of the wind. Only when a bird is flying at a high altitude, a very, very high altitude, and lives there only, through what? It will be using the currents of the wind, right or not, to stay there, like eagles do. You must have seen that eagles, and they are they don't flutter their wings when they are at high altitude. They just keep their wings and they use this wind, you know, and keep them afloat. Have you seen it or not? You must have seen it. They don't ever flutter their wings. They just use the winds and they stay afloat. Exactly, this is what is being told. That Nisidin Rahe Pavan Nabh Asa. Further he says, Drishti Bhava Tin Rati Vidhi Thani. Ehi Vidhi Garbh Rahe Tehi Jani. Now he says that between the male anal bird and female anal bird, the conjugation is not physical. It's only through drishti. They look at each other, and only through this process, the female anal bird is ready to give birth to another baby anal bird. Okay. Now this is also talked about in many. These are the mythological examples in which it is also said that, you know, the peacock, the fish, and so many other creatures have been talked about, that they do not actually physically conjugate ever, and they still get to procreate. So here he is saying that drishti bhava tin rati vidhi thani, yehi vidhi garbh rahe tehi jani. So you should know that this is the way she gets, or he gets, he and she both, I mean, she gets pregnant. अंड प्रकाश कीन पुनित हवा, निराधार अंडा रहु जावा. Now he says, after some time, of course, the egg will be coming out. And prakash keen punita hava. So it becomes manifested. The egg becomes manifested. And niradhar anda rah java. And it remains, it starts falling. That means niradhar means there is no base, so it starts falling. Okay. In the sky itself, from a very, very high altitude. Then marag mah pushtbha anda, marag mah pushtbha anda, marag mah vihariba khanda. During its fall only, the egg hatched. And during the fall itself, the egg breaks. Okay. Then what he says? Marag mah chachutin pava, marag bhayo pankh par ava. And yes, you see, when the these little babies come out from the egg, they do not have their eyes even open, right? Eyes are closed. So you must have seen that even in case of dog, in case of many animals, you must have seen. And people say their eyes have not yet been open. So whosoever will come first in front of them, they will create a contact and connect with that person. So that is why people prefer to bring puppies and all those creatures who are in that phase, where even their eyes are not open. Okay. So he says that marag mah pushtbhanda, marag mahi biharibanda. That means in the fall itself, on its way itself, the egg becomes mature and then it cracks. Further he says, marag mahi chachutin pava, marag bhayo pankh par bhava. So on the way itself, they get their eyes. Now the little baby is falling, little baby bird is falling. During its fall itself, it gets its eyes, and then in the fall itself, its wings grow. Okay. During the fall, finally the wings grow. Mahidhig avat sudhi bhatahi. Iha mor nahi ashram ahi. What he says? And by this time, enough time has gone by. And now he's just about to reach the earth. He's still falling. And when he sees the earth, this bird intuitively recognizes, this is not my place. Okay. So he remembers, this is not my place. I'm falling toward the right. And I'll tell you how this recognition comes. This comes instinctively. For example, there are so many instinctive responses which are already programmed even in humans. Nobody teaches a newborn how to suck the nipple and extract milk from mother's breast. Programmed. And as soon as a kid is born, she would approach the mother's breast. Programmed. You don't have to teach. Then there is like in some beaches, they are nowadays doing this because the sea turtles are now endangered species. Sea turtles So these sea turtles are being provided with certain, you know, breeding facilities. So they come to those beaches and they lay their eggs, cover it with sand, and then they leave. And it is said, if you go to the mythological stories, they will say that the hatching of the egg of a tortoise or turtle is only through his mental attention. The hatching of the egg of the fish is only through watching. They just watch their eggs and they mature. The mother turtle only thinks of her egg and they mature. There are different. Of course, it must be because the mother turtle leaves the beach. And what happens after some time? They get hatched. And when the baby turtles come out, they intuitively know this is not the place they belong, and they start in thousands of numbers, they start crawling somehow, approaching the water. Understood? So this is very much embedded. Anal bird also recognizes, this newborn bird immediately recognizes, where I am falling, this is not my place. This is not my ashram. This is not my place where I live. So what he does in the next line, he says, Mahdik avad sudhipatai, he remembers, this is not my place. Surati samhar chale punatahma mat pita ko ashram jahama. He says, my place is where my parents are, where my mother and father live, high in the sky. So now he takes a flight back. So he never, in a way, this bird never comes on earth. Okay, this is the example. And this has been explained in few lines. Further he says, Anal pachi tehi le na ave, ulat cheen nij ghar hi se dhave. Now this is very important. He says, parents don't come to this child. Child goes back to parents. Parents don't fear that this child is going towards the earth. But as soon as the child becomes aware, she recognizes this is not my place and goes back by himself or herself to the parents. Anal pakshi ne lena na ave. That parents don't come down to this level to take the child back. The child, this little creature, goes back by herself. Okay. Now he says, Bahu pakshi jag mahi rahave, anal pakshi sam nahi kahave, anal pakshi jas pakshi mahi, as birle jivan naam samai. He says, there are so many types of birds in this world, but not everybody is called anal. And then further he says, Anal pakshi jas pachin mahi, as birle jivan naam samahi. He says that as there are so many birds, not every bird is known as anal. Further, as anal is rare, so are those jiva who have nama with them. Okay. Nama means mantra, nama means sound, nama means method, nama means the teaching of the guru. And they keep it with them. What he is saying, Kabir is saying that such a person who keeps nama with him, takes the support of nama, they are as rare as anal. Okay. This much he has said. Now, this was a little story. Why he had to tell this much a story? So I feel there must be some more, some more hidden wisdom in it, and I'll try to decode it for you. What it could be. Okay. Now, Anal is the one. Anal bird lives in Akasha. Okay, lives in Akasha. Now you also live in Akasha. You live in Akasha. Which Akasha? Whatever you call. In this Ghatakasha, you have Chidakasha. So you stay in Akasha. Okay. Further, in this Ghatakasha, your way of procreation, your way of getting your world expanded, your getting engaged in this world happens primarily through drishti. So only through drishti, unless you see a thing, you cannot desire it. Please understand first. If you don't have eyes, you never saw a Ferrari, and you never could differentiate what is a Ferrari and what is an ambassador. Will you ever desire for Ferrari? Not possible. This simply means that only through your drishti you procreate. So Anal procreates through drishti. अनल पक्षी वह रहे आकाशा, निस्दिन रहे पवन नभ आशा. Okay. Now here, if you are Anal, if you want to stay high in the altitudes, somewhere from where you have an eagle's eye view, bird's eye view, what we call, the world looks different when you are above it all. And how can you be there? Only through managing the wind's flow, which means, again, coming back to the pranayama, or managing your breath. This is the flow of the wind. If you are able to manage your breath, if you maintain the quality of this breath, if you know what kind of currents are useful for you, only then you can stay afloat, otherwise you'll fall down. So Anal bird stays in the sky only through the manipulation of winds, uses the winds of the sky to his advantage. For you also, the wind is anyways flowing. Can you stop the wind which is flowing? No, but you don't know how to use it. So therefore, it is being said, in my opinion, maybe Kabir Panthi would not give you this meaning, I don't know, but what I understand from it is this, that by maneuvering his ways, by exercising his will, by making some adjustment, he is able to use the wind which is already flowing to stay afloat. Now this is exactly pranayama. What is it? What else it is? To stay afloat, you use your breath. If you see your life, whenever you are tranquil, whenever you are peaceful, you are having a particular type of wind flow. You are able to stay afloat only till the time the wind flows like that. So in Akasha, multiple types of winds are flowing. You must know which type of wind is needed for me to stay afloat. So Anal bird uses this flow of prana, apana, whatever you call, by managing only this breathing, you can stay afloat like Anal Pakshi, always staying there. But still, it's a possibility that you may still procreate, means you may stay afloat, but still when you come in contact with the world, there will be a desire. Desire is the birth of something. It is egg. Now this egg, moment a seed desire appears, this is that egg. When did it happen? When the anal looked at another anal or something outer to him. Understood? From that perspective, he got engaged only through eyes. You also get engaged. I just proved that you also get engaged in this world only because you have eyes. You are more engaged in this world than the people who do not have eyes. You are suffering more because you have eyes. Understood or not? Only through eyes. It does not mean you become Surdas. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that only through the process of this vision which is happening here, and this vision comes here, this Akash, beyond Akash, afloat in the Akash. You generally feel yourself here in floating here in your Chidakash, right or not? But what happens is, as soon as you are in touch with something outside you and there rises a desire in you, immediately the egg is born. And in no time almost, it becomes visible. And as soon as it becomes visible, it starts falling. Falling means what? Now all the centers will become activated. And it has to go to which center? Either to Mooladhara or Swadhisthana, somewhere there, going to the earth. Now you're actually becoming rooted in all your, or the egg is going to fall to the ground, means your desires are mostly going to be executed in Prithvi Adva. Looking at that, okay, in the Prithvi Adva, or more of a Panchikrit Tattvas, that primarily belonging to the earth element. So this world falls in Prithvi Adva. So your egg comes to what in this world? So your desire will get executed, will get to its fruit, will get to its result, and the action, everything would be taken when it reaches earth level. Now what is happening with Anal now? It says that in the, initially you do not know. When you look at the world, you really do not know what I want. But somewhere there is want. For example, when you got outside, aspiring person wanting a job, initially when he actually could decide that he wants a job, he wants a girl, he wants a boy, they are not sure which boy, which job, which company, they are not sure. Initially they only have this desire, the egg. But in the meantime, when it breaks, it breaks, you actually come to know what exactly I want. So this desire, seed desire, becomes now manifest little bit. Now still, when it is born, the desire is born. But in the meantime, before you could actually fully recognize a desire, it has no eyes. This is the phase. So as soon as you go out from your inner environment to outer, the egg is bound to be born. Second, as soon as the egg is born, it will start falling down. You still do not know. It is in the form of egg. You do not know whose egg it is. But as soon as it breaks open, you now recognize that there is further expansion in your desire. And this desire is still with the closed blind eyes, right? It's still with the blind eyes. You really do not know, even the desire is there, the urge is there, but you really actually do not understand what exactly I want. But as soon as your eyes are open, you are able to, eyes open means now the desire is fully manifest. Now the desire is fully manifest. So it is talking of from Pashyanti Madhyama to Vaikhari. Okay. So now it is, the bird is out, eyes are open, and the flutter, the wings have also grown. Now the desire can fly. Of course, the desire can fly. And it is, when the eyes are open, it simply means what? Your eyes, the desire, the eyes become open. It's now in the fall journey, if you say, where you're approaching towards earth, let's say, then at the level of fire only you can see, because now there is light. Before that, there is no light. In the chakra system, if you go. So at that level, you recognize. And this is why I'll tell you, the Manipura chakra is said to be the chakra of desire. Do you know it or not? Ambition, fear, everything. Because when you have ambition, you will have fear, for sure. But this is the chakra of greed. Greed means desire manifest. Now you know what you want and you're running after it. Maybe greedy of money, maybe greedy of anything, maybe greedy of any activity. So only when there is light, that means there is fire, only when this desire reaches here at the, what you call, Manipura chakra, where the seat of fire, where you can see the desire is fully manifest now. Now the greed has arisen. But what will happen? Now the greed has arisen, or it has become manifest. It has arisen, and then further you are going down now. Now there is a chance. Now only there is a chance. To come out of it, you should recognize immediately that this is not my place. I want to go back. Understood? I'm not going to get into the desire. See, desire gets manifested in terms of accumulation and relations. These are the two chakras which are concerning your lower two chakras. That means earth, water. They remain together. At many places, they are said to be only one chakra. Okay, so that means going to earth. When you're reaching earth, then only you can operate in this. So what have you accumulated apart from that? Some relationships and some material. What else is your desire? Tell me. In your accumulation, in your so-called creation, personal universe, what have you accumulated? Your personal universe, which you call mine, mostly is about what? Some relationships and some accumulation of wealth, of certain objects. Correct or not? So, as soon as you recognize that this is not my place, Anal bird recognizes it. You are the Anal bird. You can be, but you may not be. Not always. So, you may fall down to earth without recognizing that my parents are above, where I was, in my tranquil state, having the bird's eye view of the world without getting attached with it and watching all the mayhem what is happening on the earth. From there, this is a possibility, but only if you recognize. Only if you recognize that not the place to fall. The exact word he says, Iha mor nahi asram ahi. Mahidig avat sudhibat ahi. Iha mor nahi asram ahi. This is not my home. This recognition comes, only then you will fly back. Why will you fly back otherwise? Understood? Right? So how do you keep afloat? Learnings from today. How do you keep afloat? Only by using winds. Winds are flowing. Okay? Of course, yes. Only through manipulation, management, and being aware of how your winds are flowing, you can. This is the wind which continuously flows. You want to stay afloat, they can help you. You want to fall down, no problems. They will support you in either way. only, yeah, they are there to support you in whatever you desire. Yeah, of course. If you want to meditate, this breath can be this breath can be used to stay to keep you to that highest bliss of this uh, ecstasy of meditation. So if you want to meditate, the breath will help. And if you want to ejaculate, only breath can help. Understood? Only breath, nothing else. Without that, even that is also not possible. So for bhoga or for moksha, only wind management. Only by riding through the winds, you will have to stay aware how the wind is flowing. Just staying aware is enough.